bring up Henry Davis to pick on him. Bring him up day after. A pretty nice performance, actually. Good morning to you. Good. Wednesday morning, I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or hockey. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins that I hope you'll take the time to check out. Pirates 8, Cardinals 3 last night at Busch Stadium. Mitch Keller bouncing back from a rough stretch there, really, to put up a quality start. 3 runs, 3 hits over 6 innings. Struck out 9. Kyle Nicholas and Isaac Mattson with zeros the rest of the way. Brian Reynolds with a couple doubles. Andrew McCutchen with a couple of RBIs. And Henry with a solo bomb, in addition to a sac fly. And it's just some good overall plate appearances for him, which might mean as much as anything results-wise, all while Henry continues to acquit himself surprisingly well behind the plate, not just with the arm, which everybody knew was an 80 grade when he was drafted, but also in terms of his receiving, his awareness, his game calling. There are times where you can see at least some of what was seen to make him the number 1 overall pick in the draft. This was Don Kelly afterward, speaking with reporters in St. Louis, including our own Jose Negron of DK Pittsburgh Sports.
Yeah, I thought he had some really good swings, too, on balls that he was fouling off straight back. Was in the at-bat, continued to battle, continued to grind through it. The one pitch that he took was a nasty curveball down out of the zone, laid off it, and then was able to catch I think it was a slider out in front and absolutely killed that ball. He had great at-bats and did a real nice job. That play he made on the strikeout was unbelievable.
I say this a lot and honestly really don't care if it gets to feel repetitive, but Henry's a guy you pull for. Henry's not somebody that you're okay seeing fall short, and that's in large part because Henry's not okay with it. Unbelievable motor in this kid. Unbelievable drive. And you have seen that play out with his improved defense. Don't forget, this team and this team's management was borderline petrified of putting Henry behind the plate just less than a couple of years ago. Even though they were 100 games out of first place, results meant nothing, they still wouldn't put him back there as if he was somehow some risk to civilization or something. And now you see him back there, and you can see the rewards of the investments that he's made. Good for him. Good for him. I'm not here to cut him up. I can't stress that enough. And at the same time, I've got some pretty strong feelings here because he is a number 1 overall pick. No, I don't ever want to hear from anybody about how he's a number 1 overall pick because they needed to get the bonus space to add Bubba Chandler and other nonsense. He is a number 1 overall pick. You don't sacrifice at the altar of number 1 so that you can afford somebody down the road. What you need, if you're a team like the Pirates in an economic system like the one that Major League Baseball has, are impact players. You need not necessarily something generational like Paul Skeens, but you need guys who can be difference makers. You don't cheap out in that aisle. And yet when you're looking at Henry right now in his age 25 season, he's batting 178. And that's because for every night that he has, like the one last night, he has about 10 that are something else entirely. He has the 6 home runs, but they're in 225 plate appearances. And he has only 7 other extra base hits. Why? Well, for one thing, he's not walking much, so he's not going to be an on-base guy. I don't know that too many people expected him to be an on-base guy, but he sure isn't. He's got 16 walks in those 225 plate appearances. I mean, that's like 1 a month. But he's also got 56 strikeouts. He's striking out once every 4 times up. And as you've seen with your own eyes, he's doing so at pitches that come right down Grant Street. What I have to say about this, it might come across as unfair. It might come across as rash or reactive. But if I'm the Pirates, and this goes all the way up to Bob Nutting, and I make that change at general manager at season's end, that new general manager needs to make an epic priority of salvaging Henry. Not because it would have been his mistake, this GM wouldn't have been around for that, but because you just can't keep burning up assets like this. You have to find a way to get something out of Henry. If he ends up being a career backup catcher, now that he's straightened out his defense or whatever, you have to get something out of that. And the secondary reason, don't make me lay this out, because you know what's going to happen when Henry gets cut loose, right? You know he's going to go to Milwaukee or a place where they, know what they're doing. They're going to take a number 1 overall pick. They're probably going to make him look like a number 1 overall pick. When we come back, J1Q.
This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern, that's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q is really an amalgam of a couple rather snarly comments sent my way yesterday on our app. And that's fine. We accept those too. Those coming from Chris and Mark. And on the identical subject of the combined underperformance of both Brian Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz. As Mark worded it, it's great to see several commenters stepping up and wondering why Reynolds and Cruz have kept escaping criticism here, again meaning in our commenting form on the DK Pittsburgh Sports app, for their putrid years. Plain and simple, they have dragged this offense down to its pathetic level. Now, the easy way for me to address these comments and this sentiment is to remind that I actually have criticized both of these players. I've done so in individual episodes, I've done so in passing reference in other episodes, but also that I expect nobody to be listening to all of the episodes. In fact, I often encourage that you don't listen to any of them. So let's start there. And piling on top of that, no, of course, Reynolds and Cruz haven't been anywhere near what anyone would have hoped or expected, including Reynolds and Cruz themselves. Taking it further, I don't know that there's a more singularly and deeply disappointing facet of this season for the Pirates than Reynolds' own drop, as I have stated previously. And mind you, I'm saying that the morning after Reynolds had 2 doubles, one of those driving in a run. So I'm not exactly picking a weak spot here. He had himself a nice night. He has not had himself a nice season, certainly not to the bar that everyone has set for him, again, including Reynolds himself. Most prominently, and the easiest way to assess all of this, is that he's currently got, and again, this is including last night, a 720 OPS. In his first 4 full seasons in the majors, his OPS figures were 912, 806, 790, 791, now again all the way down to 720. Batting average at 247, home runs at 14, RBIs at 66. Everything is down. Well, except for one thing, his strikeout rate is up. He's at 147 strikeouts now in 493 at-bats. 147 compared to 156 for all of last year, and 156 was his career high. So he's obviously going to blow through that with more than a month to go. Beyond that, just, watching him and seeing him swing through meatballs. That's actually what they're officially called now in some statistical measures. Meatballs, killable pitches, pitches that deserve the pain that is bestowed upon them. And he'll see them, he'll recognize them, and just whiff right through them, which is not him. And if it sounds like I'm defending him when I say it's not him, I have the data on my side. I have from 2019 to 2024 to show that Reynolds can hit. I have the entirety of his life to show that Reynolds can hit. He hasn't done so this season. Now, if you think I'm going to rip him for, not caring, not being motivated, or just flat out not being good, then you're asking me to ignore everything that I'd seen and, by the way, learned about him as a person over those years. That's not going to happen here. What is going to happen is that 2026 is going to come along, and he's going to be cast, and I think rightly so, as a big-time bounce-back candidate. Cruz, I'm not so sure about because I can't be so sure about him because he doesn't have that track record. But he, too, has dropped. His OPS a year ago was at 773. Now it's at 697. His walks are way up, which I'm sure has the general manager really excited. But his batting average has nosedived from 259 to 205. Cruz is hitting 205. Now, he might top his career best 21 home runs from last season. He's at 18 now. But I'm sorry, 205 just doesn't cut it. And here again, unlike Reynolds, he doesn't have that intangible track record, that feel of being that constant, focused professional. But is his season as disappointing or right in that same range as Reynolds? No, Reynolds is more disappointing. It's just flat out more surprising. But have they both been detrimental to the Pirates' cause? I mean, yeah, obviously. These guys should be the two best hitters in this lineup, and they wouldn't be the two best hitters in anybody's lineup the way they've been this year. I appreciate hearing back from everybody because it means that you're listening to the show and taking it seriously. So thanks for that, and we will be back with another one of these tomorrow.